Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Tel Aviv. Coming up in today's newscast, an IDF soldier is wounded in a terror attack. Israel approves a major plan to boost the Arab-Israeli community, and Israeli police are set to begin wearing body cameras. I'm Natasha Kirchak here with the latest news in Israel. An Israeli soldier was lately injured in a car ramming attack in the West Bank today.
A terrorist rammed his car into Gvadi force patrolling Highway 60 just south of Nablus. One of the soldiers was lightly wounded and evacuated to an Israeli hospital. The terrorist was shot dead by other soldiers during the attack. The incident occurred near the Palestinian village of Hawara, which has been the scene of several recent stabbing and car ramming attacks.
Israeli police officers will be equipped with body cameras in an attempt to increase transparency and improve the public's trust in law enforcement.
A police statement says a change will occur over the next year. The idea gained publicity in May, when Likud Knesset member Avraham Negis proposed a bill requiring police engaged in arrests to wear video cameras. The proposal followed an incident in which a video clip emerged showing an Ethiopian-Israeli soldier being beaten by two police officers. The proposal's supporters hope that body cameras will help reduce police brutality. Hopefully, it will also cut down on the number of false complaints against the police.
The Israeli government has approved a $4 billion plan to develop Israeli Arab and minority communities in Israel.
The 5-year program seeks to reduce societal gaps by increasing funding for housing, employment of Arab women, infrastructure, and more. Other key elements of the plan include a widespread investment in education in the Arab sector, as well as subsidies in public transportation. The plan also intends to strengthen law enforcement in the minorities sector, especially in terms of illegal construction. The proposal will focus on Israel's Druze, Muslim, Christian, and Circassian communities, which make up slightly less than a quarter of the Israeli population. The leader of the Joint Arab List Party has welcomed the plan, but he says its implementation must be closely monitored.
Hamas has aired a shocking video of the IDF soldier Gilad Shalit during his captivity in Gaza.
The terror group released a video clip featuring Shalit during his 5-year imprisonment. The footage is only 3 seconds, and it includes 2 clips of Shalit smiling with some of the guards who watched over him during his bondage. The video was broadcast on Hamas's television station, and it came out just hours after the group released a photo of Shalit standing next to a guard who recently died in a tunnel collapse in the Gaza Strip. Last night, Hamas released the names of the 5 operatives who guarded Gilad Shalit. All 5 are now dead. Shalit was captured in a cross-border attack in 2006, and he was held in Gaza until October 2011, when Israel freed more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners in exchange for his release.
Meanwhile, Israeli border officials prevented an attempt to smuggle armor plating into the Gaza Strip.
Defense officials said that they found several bulletproof plates while examining one of the hundreds of trucks that pass through the Keren Shalom crossing every day. Authorities believe the plates are possibly being used to fortify terrorist strongholds in the Strip. Israeli officials are investigating who is responsible for the smuggling attempt. Keren Shalom is one of 2 crossings between Israel and the Gaza Strip, and hundreds of trucks delivering food, aid, and other goods pass through the checkpoint on a daily basis.
In other Hamas-related news, while most of the world is getting ready to celebrate the new year, the Gaza Strip is doing just the opposite.
Hamas has banned New Year's Eve celebrations throughout the coastal region. Palestinian sources said the owners of restaurants and hotels in the Strip have been warned not to hold parties on this occasion. A Hamas police spokesman said that such celebrations were an imitation of the West and contrary to Islamic teachings. The Islamist terror group says that the New Year's Eve parties offend the territory's values and religious traditions. In previous years, restaurants, hotels, and cafes in Gaza were allowed to host closed events to celebrate the event. But tonight, Hamas security forces will close down all unlicensed parties.
The U.S. Congress plans to investigate a report claiming the U.S. spied on top Israeli leaders, including their discussions with American congressmen.
The chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Devin Nunes, says that he's already asked the Director of National Intelligence and the head of the National Security Agency to brief lawmakers on the matter. A report in the Wall Street Journal claims the U.S. spied on the Israeli Prime Minister as he tried to thwart the Iran nuclear deal. In the process, they caught conversations between Israeli leaders and U.S. officials. Nunes claims that that's something that would normally be reported to top American leaders, but he says he received no such notification. The chairman says he wants to get the facts about the apparent irregularity, which is leading to fears that the executive branch could be accused of spying on Congress.
Yaniv Feldman is the editor-in-chief and the COO of Geek Time, one of the leading tech media outlets in the world. He joins us to discuss why 2015 was such a successful year for Israeli startups and technology. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So New Year's Eve is finally here. Can you summarize Israel's success this year in numbers? How much money have Israeli startups brought to the country?
So basically, we measure the startup success in two different numbers. One is the number of funding rounds, or the amount of funds raised by startups, which is $4 billion this year by Israeli startups. And the other is the amount of exits, or M&As. Now, this year, we're talking about $8 billion, which is twice the size of the funding raised this year, which says Israel is in a big bullish trend.
So why was this such a successful year for Israeli startups?
I think basically this year was a continuous of what happened in last years, and we've been seeing that Israeli startups now can also grow and not just build the startups and sell them like it used to be in the recent years. We're seeing funds that are coming up and are able to invest in Series A and Series B rounds and able to support the companies and help them build and sustain for a longer life.
This year, it seems like China has been discovering some of Israel's unique technology. And last week, I even reported on Chinese investment in Israeli robot technology. Why is China suddenly discovering Israeli technology? Is this something new that's happening?
So basically, China is looking at Israel as a gateway to the West. Not many people know, but a lot of countries, including in Europe and the US, are starting to look, a bit meticulous on Chinese technologies. And the Chinese have found that because the world trusts Israeli technologies, a way for them to hook up and sell their technologies and their stuff to the rest of the world is to hook up with Israeli startups and Israeli technologies. That's why they have invested over $500 million just in 2015 in Israeli startups and venture capital.
So on the other hand, we have this growing BDS movement. Has it had any impact on Israeli startups and technology?
I think that from what we've been seeing, the entire startup nation trend is moving, pretty much away from everything that's happening in politics. If you talk to a venture capitalist, no matter where in the world they are, you won't hear anything being said in Israel in that regards. We've also been seeing, Israeli startups starting to open doors into places that usually, Israel wasn't that welcome before, even in Arab countries. We know it happened in more security-related companies in the past, but now we've been seeing that with technology as well.
So what can we expect for 2016? That's a big question.
So in 2016, if we're talking technology-wise, the big thing we're seeing is IoT, Internet of Things. Everything is starting to be connected. Israel is leading that movement with a lot of new startups growing up in that field. And all these startups are starting to grow, especially because of what's been happening with crowdfunding. In the last, I would say 10 years or so, it was really hard to fund hardware startups, which is the main thing that drives IoT because it's hardware. But because crowdfunding has become so popular in the last few years, and especially now the Jobs Act passed in the US and they're working on a similar thing here in Israel, it's becoming much easier to build these kind of companies, and we're expected to see more of them in 2016.
Well, I think we're all excited to see what happens in 2016. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
If you keep kosher, it looks like you have a new option on the menu. The world's first kosher-certified marijuana is hitting the market next month.
The Orthodox Union has certified a New York company's non-smokable medical marijuana products as kosher. Vireo Health of New York is one of 5 medical marijuana providers participating in a New York State medical marijuana program that goes into effect next month. But it's the only one that's certified as kosher. The CEO of the Orthodox Union's Kashrut department says that Vireo's medical marijuana products were developed to alleviate pain and suffering. Rabbi Menachem Genak says using medical cannabis products should be regarded as a mitzvah instead of a sinful act. Vireo will offer kosher marijuana in 4 different retail dispensaries starting in January. The company's CEO says their product's kosher certification will help the company serve the needs of the largest Jewish community in the United States.
It's time for our Hebrew word of the day. Since it's New Year's Eve, we thought we'd learn the Hebrew word for year, which is shana. The word shana can be traced back to the Torah, and it has several interesting derivatives. It literally means to repeat, or more accurately, to learn from repetition. Curiously, the root letters in shana are the same as in the word shinui, which means change, and shoneh, which means different. So the word shana refers to the repetition of yet another year, and the changes we hope to make so that our new year is different and hopefully better. On that note, Shana Tova, our team at IILTV wishes you a very happy new year. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. Hopefully you're already getting prepared for your New Year's Eve celebrations. Tonight it's supposed to be rainy with a high of 63 degrees. The rain will continue into tomorrow and the temperature will drop to 54. All right, everybody, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.9 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at IILTV.tv. And don't forget to check out our new breaking newscast every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.